Well, here we are, starting episode 36 already. Yeah. I did try these rudders and the little holes that were provided with the in the hull, and I was noticing that they were a little bit on the stiff side, so I'm going to have the same problem with these pegs as I was with the bulkheads. I'll figure something out. You know, if I sand these down and make them smaller, they're going to become weaker, so it might be a smarter idea to try and carefully drill the hole out. I'm noticing that these pegs are a little bit offset. Yeah. So I guess I wouldn't want to put the wrong rudder in the wrong hole. Anyway, like I said, we'll figure it out. So when I was taking this excess flashing and so on off of the rudder here, especially on the bottom, I was thinking, well, why am I going to all the extra effort here? Like, this is 1000 grit. And, you know, nobody's going to see the bottom of the rudder anyway, because it's going to be, you know, on the bottom of the ship pointed down. And then I remembered that, yeah, except that what I was planning on doing is when I make the case, I was thinking it might be kind of a neat idea if it was sitting on a mirror and it was sort of, you know, looking up. At least that's the plan now. I realize that the case is a long way down the road. Yeah. Almost every little part has to have flashing taken off of it. You know, you don't notice it until you look close. And I can quite well imagine that, you know, the paint will not hide that unless I put it on so thick that it just spoils all the detail. And that'd be stupid. Anyway, pretty well got it here. Okay, now the next one. Now these pieces here are not identical. They are a mirror image of each other. This one will not fit here, but it will fit perfectly here. Actually, the fit is quite good. And then, of course, this one goes here. And the fit is quite good. And my first thinking was I should maybe remove this flashing now. And then I thought, no, maybe not. Wait until after it's glued in, and then I can sort of, you know, sculpt everything along and make sure that it looks as though there's no seam here at all. There's a lot of places that are going to have model crack filler or model putty. I'm hoping to get the new acrylic type of putty. From what I've seen on the internet, people using it, it seems to work really, really well. Anyway, these can be glued in place, but I think first what I should do is, let's see, I think this one goes here. Nope, must go here. Yeah, that one will go there, like so. And this one would go like this. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to run the shafts through just to make sure that it is lined up, and then glue it in place after the shafts are through. I haven't even tried them yet. Could be I'm going to have to drill this out. Oh, and by the way, it kind of looks like they're the wrong way around, but they're not. It actually goes this way. It's sort of streamlined for the water to pass through, and then the propeller makes the rest of the shape. Oh yeah. Okay, now when I glue this in place, I know that it's going to line up perfectly. I'll remove these later. On the other hand, no, I think I'll leave them in. It'll make it a little stronger for this piece right here. Oh, don't want to be putting too much on. Now you notice here, I don't know if you saw that, but some plastic was actually sticking to my finger there. Okay, I don't need to worry about that one falling out. And I'll sculpt this part later. Okay, and as I mentioned, I'm going to have the shaft installed to help line everything up. Okay, I'll just leave that for a while. Okay, I'm going to do the starboard side exactly the same way. Now I know I wasn't going to show me doing this side here, but I just had a funny thought. I've glued this one in already, by the way. If the ship is upside down, does the starboard side suddenly become the port side? You know, I was wondering if the reason they've given me 4 propellers is because the propellers on the Bismarck were so similar to the propellers on other ships of similar size that they that had 4. You know, I think you know what I'm trying to say here. Anyway, here's what I was talking about before. Let's just see if it's going to fit on here. Yeah. Now, you notice the way that becomes one long streamlined piece, kind of like a submarine. It's kind of pointed here. I imagine on the real ship, right here, would be actually more closer to the diameter of the shaft. On the other hand, maybe not. Who knows? But I would think it would be. After all, they got this nice and pointy, you know, streamlined. Why not have it? You wouldn't want water catching in here and creating eddies or whatever you want to call it, you know, to spoil the flow. The propeller would lose efficiency. At least that's my thinking. But what do I know? I never made a battleship, except this one. Well, here is our first completely empty sprue. Now, mind you, there was only the 4 propellers on it. So that was sprue T. Looks like a T to me, anyway. And the reason I did the rest of the propellers is because I was afraid that I could accidentally break one of the branches off. I don't know if you call it branches, but anyway. And it would take part of the propeller with it. So I thought, you know, I better cut them off. And then, of course, from there I thought, well, I may as well do the rest. But what I want to do is, I want to show you how well these nippers work here. And I've discovered that the best way to do them is not this way, but this way. And you put the blades right up against the whatever it is you're trying to cut the part off of. I'm going to zoom in here. Almost perfect. Just a little bit with 1,000 grit sandpaper and it'll be just right. I'll do one more here. So remember, it goes this way, not this way. That way the cutting edge isn't lower than what it is you're cutting the sprue off of. Perfect. Now I don't know why I didn't notice this before. And I don't know if you can see it or not, but there's flashing on the post. Now I'm wondering if I take that flashing off, is that going to maybe make the difference? Let's just very carefully take it off here. And on this side. Okay, almost got it there. Yeah, looks pretty good to me. Alright, let's try it now. There we go. Yeah. I'll do the other one the same way. Now I will definitely not be leaving these in here. Anyway, you can see they're in the right position, they're at the right angle. Yeah. I guess that when the torpedo hit the real Bismarck, it bent one of these right around. It got caught in this propeller here. At least that's the story I'm told, and I think divers, the subs went down and looked at it, and I think I actually saw a picture of it twisted around and jammed in the propeller there. Now, have we done everything on step one? I can't see any parts that we have to put on. I think we're ready to pull the rudders back out and turn this over and see what we can do on the top side. So how many of you thought to yourselves, well, wait a minute, if taking the flashing off the post on the rudder helped, maybe taking the flashing off of these will help too. So I checked, and there's very, very little. Let's just take it off here. I've never tried this one before. This is a diamond. Might do a bit of a smoother job than that regular file. I think I pretty well got it on that one. Okay, I think this one goes here. Nope, must go back here. Yeah, that's it. Okay, I'll do the other two exactly the same way. Now, I have not glued these in place yet. They're just sitting there, just in case they have to be adjusted, one way or the other to accommodate the deck. And we've got a little bit of a problem going on here right now, in that once I get the deck glued on, it's going to make it a lot harder to paint the hull. But I just want to see how this is going to snap together. Okay, the bow is in and the stern is in. And this side is in, but oh, this side's in too. It's it seems that it's such a perfect fit that you can't see where the seam is. That's incredible for a piece of this length. 49.5 inches, and it's it's within a fraction of a millimeter of being dead on. That's incredible. This is the first time I've tried it. I'm really excited. Yeah, I'm not going to have any problem gluing this in. And it appears that these bulkheads or cross braces, it doesn't seem to matter too much which way, this way or that way they go. At least that's what I can see. Now, I've got to decide though. The deck, it looks like this is pretty well all simulated deck planking. It's a little bit up here where the anchor chains go, where there isn't. And I do realize that there's probably viewers that would wish I would buy the real deck planking, the wood stuff, but it's probably just going to look like Mac tack. I don't know if you have Mac tack where you live, but here in Canada we have this stuff that you stick on and it looks like wood, and it's sort of a vinyl stick-on stuff. Well, I'm afraid that's what it's going to end up looking like. So I'm not going to buy it, and it's expensive. So I'm just going to paint the, the simulated planking, deck color. They already, suggested which particular paint to use, and I've already got it. So anyway, I got to decide. What am I going to do here? Got to paint the hull first, I think. One of the viewers sent me a good picture of the Bismarck, and at first I thought, well, there's another picture of the Bismarck, and this one is a little sharper than what I'm used to seeing. And then I realized, hey, wait a minute, there's that stabilizing fin. And if you know what you're looking at, you can tell pretty much what the angle of it was sticking out of the hull. And I'm guessing it was pretty much 45 degrees. Yeah. Thanks, Peter. So, in light of that recent photo, how did we do here? So are these sticking out at a 45-degree angle from the hull? Well, I might have done better to have had them swung around the other way. They are possibly a little bit too much in the pointing downward instead of outward. I know one of the viewers suggested I have them more out, and by the time I read his comment, I'd already glued these on. However, I'm not a rivet counter, and the difference is so negligible that, yeah, I'm not a rivet counter. However, I do think it's probably safe now to glue these bulkheads in place here, and I'm just going to do it only at the bottom. And the reason for that is, if I do it on the sides, I know I'm going to stop working because I can't talk and work at the same time. But if I glue the sides right here, like so, if I need to spread this a bit to get the deck to fit, it's not going to want to spread very good. And after all, this thing doesn't have to go to battle. It just has to stick together and not fall apart. And yeah, I think you get what I'm getting at. And now, once again, I'm thinking about the painting. And I've temporarily put the deck on the hull. And where the deck planking meets the hull, the fit is so good that you can hardly see the seam unless you were to spread it. Now if I spread it, then you can see it. So I'm thinking that it might be kind of difficult to paint the deck after it's on the hull, because I want the hull to be gray here, And I believe there's going to be railing and stuff like that put on there. I'm not sure, but I don't see why not. So what I'm thinking is I should paint the deck first. Now, also, some places on the deck, let me slide this so that you can see it here. Okay, on the bow and on the stern, there's a lot of detail already molded into the deck itself. And I'm thinking that, I'm going to have to repaint over top of that. Plus, there's a lot of little parts that have to be stuck on in different places. You can probably see there's holes here that something's going to go on, and another hole here that something goes in, and you can see where the breakwater is supposed to go here. And the stairway going down, you wouldn't want that to be the same color as the wood planking. So that's probably going to be, I'll have to be painted with a very tiny little brush. Won't be using the airbrush on that, that's for sure. Anyway, yeah, a lot of considerations I got to make here. But it appears to me that the deck planking goes right up to the very edge of the hull. What a nice tight fit that is. Unbelievable. I'd like to shake the hand of the guys that designed this, because they sure did a good job. Well, we are done step 2, gluing these braces in. And yeah, so we're on to step 3 now, which is putting the deck on and putting these 2 pieces on. Now, something I want to show you about these 2 pieces. Well, I think they're supposed to go something like this. Anyway, there's an awful lot of decking here too, which has to be painted, I would assume. Oh, wait a minute, this isn't decking. This looks like some sort of metal plating. But here's decking out here, all of this. However, that's not what I wanted to talk about. What I wanted to talk about was the fact that all along the edges, there's a lot of detail. Don't know if you can see that, but there's ladders and life preservers and portholes and doors and all kinds of little details that I would think would be a lot easier to paint when this is off. In other words, I could take it and have it on its edge like this, and take my tiny little brush, which, looking at it now, is getting in pretty bad shape, so I guess I have to get another one. Anyway, and paint all those little tiny details when these pieces are off, before they are glued down on the deck. Not that it would be impossible, but some of this detail is extremely small. Yeah. And, that would be the easiest time to do it. Now, there's nothing in the manual here. So let me move this stuff. If you go way back here to the beginning of the manual, it doesn't talk about when to paint what when. Like, the only place I can find paint is it says something to the effect that paint, is not included in the kit. Well, yeah. But it doesn't say when's a good time to paint something. It assumes that you know what you're doing. Now, then, the other place that talks about paint is on the paint chart. It tells you what colors to paint what. Turns out I don't have the right color for the decking anyway. As long as I'm going to get paint, I may as well get another one of these little brushes. Yeah. But anyway, I want to talk about something here. And what I want to want to talk about is this. I'm a little bit good at turning balls. I'm getting better. And I'm a little bit good at making pens. I think I know what I'm doing there. However, when it comes to models, especially something like this one, I'm only just fooling around, and I can tell by the comments I'm getting that there are some pretty gifted modelers out there that are watching this build. And for instance, I just read a comment here, I think it was yesterday. A guy told me the type of crack filler that he's using. It turns out it's the exact one that I'm trying to get. So he's already used it. Well, and that tells me that in likelihood there's other guys out there that have done stuff like this. And for instance, is it a good idea to paint the deck now and then glue it on after, or glue it on and then paint it? That kind of stuff. So please feel free to comment. I appreciate your comments. I read every single one. Yeah. Oh, and something interesting happened. I got an email yesterday from Cellar Dweller, and they told me, Carrie says you're going to be expect a letter from a young viewer. Well, I'm looking forward to getting that letter. Thank you. In the meantime, I'm going to wind it up here for today, and we'll see you tomorrow. Thanks for watching.